Hello, everyone. This is Chili Pepper hosting episode 2 of the Pepper's Kitchen podcast. Today, we are with serial entrepreneur and based builder, BaseJunkie. Very excited to speak with you, man. How are you doing?
Yo, yo, yo! Very good to be here. It's good to, when we spoke before the show and you mentioned about the goal for this, getting to know the people behind the projects, and I was like, I'm on board. So definitely happy to be a part of this and honored to be episode number 2.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, very excited to get this moving and just have conversations with people in the space. I'm a young person myself, so I also want to take this as a learning experience to be able to find out, what people's experiences are in their 20s and how they became what they are today. So this is a great learning experience for me as well, and for anyone watching. So just to jump straight into it, man, how did you learn about crypto? Everyone's got that story. I met this guy at a restaurant who had a crypto company. I sort of got brought in as an internship for social media, and then that when I started learning about crypto. So what's your story?
Well, actually, I first heard about crypto on the Joe Rogan podcast in 2014. But I graduated from uni in 2013, and I was still young, trying to find my way. So I didn't have money in the bank. So when I heard about it, I'm like, that's really cool. Bitcoin, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How much is a Bitcoin? $200. I'm like, oof, I don't have that. So anyway, I was like, okay, it's a rich man's game. It's not for me. $200, that's out of my price range. And I just forgot about it. I was like, that's a cool idea, but it wasn't in the mainstream news. So unless you were actively looking for it or researching it, um, then it was just easy to forget about.
And
And
it
in that
takes a
time,
lot. It takes a lot to believe in something when the rest of the world has absolutely no belief into it. Yeah, when it's that early. I mean, my dad, for example, he found Bitcoin at like $500. He asked a bunch of his, economic graduate friends and, really like high class people with like, really, really like rich lawyers and stuff. And all of them advised him not to buy just because they weren't, up to date with what was going on. And it's very hard to believe in something when the rest of the world doesn't. Right now, luckily, it's transitioned to a point where more and more people are believing in it, and there's more and more adoption into it.
exactly. It's so that the people that had the conviction early on are obviously the ones that have reaped the largest rewards. And I think that there's going to be less volatility in the future now that institutions are involved. But going back to when I got into crypto, I heard about it in 2014, forgot about it. But it was actually in 2017, a friend of mine, he was like, "Hey, XRP is going to change the future of banking and international payments." And at that time, I was living in Shanghai, China, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you know what? Sending money back home is a faff. If there's a better way, a cheaper way where you don't need to have your money in escrow, wait multiple days for a transaction, and then on top of that, pay like $100 in transaction fees," I was like, "Sign me up." So he was like, "Get onto Coinbase." So my first
So you were like the
actual
target audience
crypto.
basically for XRP. You were like the exact audience that XRP needed. And there was a lot of normies as well. I think XRP has been a massive onboarding for normies because almost every normie I've talked to about crypto that, they sort of dabble in it but never really go into it, they always talk about XRP. So that's a big normie coin.
Yeah, I think the reason for that, at least the reason for me and for my boomer friends, why XRP is an easier pill to swallow when we're talking about financial reform, is that the early messaging for Bitcoin wasn't so much that this is a store of value or that this is digital gold. It's like this is going to replace finance. This is going to be the future of money is this. And XRP, and like in a way, like we're gonna have a decentralized money instead of the banks. And it was very like anarchistic. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well that's like a beautiful ideal, but can that actually happen?
Yeah.
So whereas XRP was like, hey, we're not going to overthrow the banks, the powers that be. We're going to supercharge them and work with them to make faster transactions. I'm like, okay, I can get on board with that. That makes sense. That seems like an achievable goal. So that's why that was like the first coin I bought. Yeah, I bought like
Mm.
$2,000 at the time. Rode my first bull market up to 25. Rode it back down to 2,000. I'm like, okay, that was that was a lesson in itself. And then since
Yeah.
then, I've been like curious and learning, educating myself ever since.
Right. So the first, 2 grand of XRP you bought, and seeing it grow is what, brought your attention further into it. And then since then, you fully focused into it, no? And how did you go from, just investing into it to starting, for example, NFT project in 2021 with, that was very successful as well. So how did you go from investing to making it your career?
So the first cycle, the 2017 cycle, that was my entry, my first cycle. Uh, I solo ran that. That was a solo effort, and
Okay.
I didn't actually get any rewards from it, because I round tripped my entire bag. I was like, okay, but I continued to learn and try and look at trends. And obviously, from like 2018, 19, things were quiet again. Everything was cheap, but it wasn't the talk of the town. Come to fast forward to later 2020, there was this project called Vivi, which basically was the first onboarding to like digital collectibles that I'd come across. They had IPs with Universal Studios, DC, and later on they brought on Disney and a bunch of other huge global mammoth IPs. So when I saw that this was happening and people weren't really talking about it, I saw it on an obscure YouTube channel, Crypto Andy. I think he had like 15,000 followers, subscribers at the time. So relatively obscure in terms of comparison to
Yeah.
the big name, like the Elliott trades and stuff like that, which are talking about other aspects of crypto. But this felt like a niche that was just starting. And I think DeFi was already becoming quite popular, and some rumblings were like NFTs are going to be the next thing. And I'm
Right.
always looking to see
This was
like
in 2020, right? Or was it early 2021?
end of 2020.
Okay.
So this was before any of the mania of 21. So I started getting involved in these VVs. I became like a well-known trader on the app. It was quite interesting because they had this region-locked NFTs, which now is kind of a bit crazy to think about. But because it was
Region
a
locked.
central app, yeah. So basically, their IP, their licensing meant that they had a licensing agreement with Cartoon Network that only allowed purchases to be made inside of China. So if you're outside of China, you weren't able to get these Cartoon Network NFTs. So in 2020, I'd already left China, but I have a long list of friends over there. So I said to one of them, I'm like, hey, bud, buy me as many of these Powerpuff Girl NFTs as you can. I'll give you $1 for every single one you buy. And he's like, don't like what? Like for everyone? He's like, I'm like, yes, of course. He's like, what if I buy 100? I'm like, then I'll give you $100. I was like, I'm gonna make bank on this. So I was like, just buy. I'll send you the money. You buy. I'll give you a tip every single time. So he did that for me, and I became the Mojo Jojo king of the Vivi app. And so the
Ranking the
timing
leaderboards.
it was pretty perfect because early 2021 it was COVID, and well, COVID since 2020, but in 2021 they were giving out these stimulus checks to all these Americans who weren't allowed to leave their house,
Hmm.
weren't allowed to spend their money on much other than in their home and being online. So
Yeah.
a lot of people who were entering NFTs, they saw these Mojo Jojos that they couldn't buy on primary. They saw them on secondary, and they came to yours truly. So when the stimulus checks came for them,
So you
it was a
think
good
the
for me.
stimulus checks was a pretty big impact on the 2021, bull run? I mean, the lockdown
Yeah,
definitely
I
was because
mean,
people were locked in their house, on their laptops. But I hadn't even considered the whole, the stimulus check thing. That's quite interesting.
Well, the thing is, like, it was just free money. Like, everyone got like
Yeah.
$600 or like $1,200 per household, and you weren't allowed to leave your house. So unless you were actually using that money for food, for a lot of people, it was fun money. It was like, oh, cheers, cheers. I mean, this situation kind of sucked, but maybe I can join some communities. And the COVID, without COVID, I don't think we would have had the 2021, you know, explosion in the NFT cycle.
Hmm.
Um, so anyway, I made my name in NFTs in on the VV app as the Mojo Jojo King. I was invited into an alpha group chat, and they were like, "Yo, let's mint the Bored Apes." I'm like, "What are these?" I was naive, but I trusted that they were smarter than me. So I was privileged to
Yeah.
be invited into this group tank of smarter, richer, wiser people than me, and they're like, "Let's buy these apes." I was like, "All right." So I aped in. I grabbed like six Bored Apes from the mint.
Yeah.
Spent like a thousand. I spent like $1,000, and that was sizable. It was like I never spent $200 or $180 on
Yeah.
an NFT before, and 5 weeks later I sold them all for like 30K, and everyone around me, like IRL, was like, "Wow, you're so smart. You're like the smartest trainer. You've got the Midas touch." And I was like, "Oh, maybe I do." But
Mm-hmm.
1 week
Mm-hmm.
later, they launched the kennels. A month later, they launched the mutants. Fast forward to the ape coin drop. If I just held all time high, those six apes plus the mutants plus the dogs plus the ape coin would have been about $5 million.
Shit. Listen, I've had my fair share of experiences like that. I mean, I used to think, last year I started off as just a trench warfare meme coin trader. I've spoken about
Mhm.
this in quite a few spaces, but the first few coins I bought, I got quite lucky. So, like the first one, I got like 300K to about 50 million. Next one was like 700K to like 280 million. I didn't quite sell at the top. And I was also putting in investment for a lot of my friends and family and stuff. And since they were all calling me a genius, I thought I was actually, a really good trader. Turns out I had been, the luckiest start to crypto that I've ever seen. It was about,
Mm.
I think, 400 euros to about 200 grand. My brother gave me 40 euros and
Oh
turned it into
wow.
about 15 grand. But then over the next 6 to 8 months, I became, how do you say it in English? Ludopathic, addicted to it basically, of watching the charts go up and down, so focused on it and so desperate for
Mm.
another X that I was going on Deck Screener and looking at the new social pairs and stuff like that. And even if I knew it was a rug, I'd still invest into it, right? Just so I can get maybe a little 2X, 3X before it rugs. So I've been through that thing
That's,
where I thought I was a genius, and then now I'm humbled, and now I'm building real stuff. I've gone away from trading. I mean, I've got a lot of base beam coins that I've invested into and plan to just hold through the bull run just because I think they'll do well. But yeah, I've gone away from the whole meme coin trading thing because it is gambling at the end of the day. A lot of friends are still texting me like, "Hey, I want to get into trading." I'm like, "Don't, get into coding, get into social media. Maybe there's a lot of space right now in on X and the base app, for example, to become a social media influencer on the new internet, right?" Yeah,
absolutely. I think a lot of the messaging on the timeline, especially if you've been dancing across the different chains, it is like it was the meme coin super cycle, and I think the allure of these fast gains, and especially if you are looking at crypto Twitter, like like I was looking at all these people flashing P&Ls, real or not. I was just like, man, it seems like everyone's hitting 100x apart from me. When is it going to be my turn? So just like the sayings are so um, encouraging to be like a trench warrior or degen, lock in mode, grind it out, never stop clicking. But when I remember tail end of last year, there was a Coin Telegraph article, and it said it released like the pump fund stats because
oh,
to me, everyone was a winner apart from me. It said 99.6% of pump fund traders have not locked in 10K in profits.
Yeah.
And when that penny dropped, when that light bulb went off and that penny dropped, I was like, you know what? Everyone's just flexing. Like the loudest people, the point four, the ones that
Yeah.
are flexing. The other 99% are quiet like me. And I was like, you know what? This
I feel like it's
is
something that
not the way.
it happens quite often, and not just in crypto. For example, in politics, when you go on social media, you usually see the extreme right or the extreme left, and you never actually get to hear the opinions of the average person that might be a bit right but closer to the middle. I think people agree on a lot more than what they think they agree on, just because of the extremes of social media. And it's the same with pump fund. I'm either seeing stories on X about people losing absolutely all their money and destroying their life, or I'm seeing people, make millions and millions in buying coins super early, right? So I feel like that's another big element to what's affected the crypto space, is giving people some real expectations. Whenever anyone asks me, "Hey, I want to get to trading crypto, do you have any advice?" I'm like, yeah, are you ready to glue yourself to the screen for 16 hours, rip your hairs out, and possibly not make money? And it's too risky. I always advise people, if they're interested in crypto, they get into it for the tech, not for the money. And if you're interested in the tech, and you make that your focus, or not just the tech, maybe the social aspect of it, then you can be successful in the space. But sooner or later, every trader will lose money, and that's just how I see it, really.
Yeah, you know, um, I think that's good advice. So I'll make one comment about the trader, but then I want to come back to the other side. But so a friend of mine, he's a rich Dubai Habibi. He's an amazing trader. Him and his partner, they work around the clock. They sleep in shifts because that's how on it they are with the scalps. They play with mega money. Anyway, last year in October, he won. In fact, he placed sixth in the World Series of Trading on Bybit, and
Oh,
they made
wow.
like $8 million in a month. And I was like, man, you guys are just like incredible, amazing. Like, I want to be like you. Fast forward to December, there was a flash wick, a scam wig. I forget what the news was, but it was something that wasn't that bad. I shouldn't have caused this much FUD, but literally the whole market just like took a nosedive. And because these are
Mm,
leverage traders, they
true.
had and they were doing cross leverage with millions on that one scam wig. They got liquidated for $21 million. Account gone. So since then, his partner took a bit of time off because it's like the toll it takes on your mental health. It's a real one. So
Mm,
I was like, look, if even the best traders in the world can get caught out with scam wicks, these flash wicks that are market manipulation or whatever the reason, what chance do I have, who's a somewhat thinks he's a bit smart, knows how to read charts to a level? I was like, you know what, I'm out of the leverage game. I'm not gambling like that. I don't want to be on the meme coins. I want to focus on building. So my advice to anybody who's getting into crypto is, if you're looking to invest, and obviously not financial advice, but if you're looking to invest, look at just play it safe. Play it safe.
mm,
Get some Bitcoin, or just join a few communities. Do your
yeah.
own research. And if you're not looking to, if you don't have capital behind you, but you have interest,
Yeah.
don't be chasing the penny stocks like on the pump funds. Join a community. And for me, my favorite way of forming communities is with NFTs. Um, I think that since it's more liquid than meme coins, and there's something else to focus on other than the price. I
Mm.
think it's a great place for friendships to form and people to learn, grow, and go through this journey together.
That's why you jumped into, launching NFT, but or becoming an NFT brand developer, right? So let's jump into your most recent NFT project and your best one for sure, based Topi. Let's Topi
Yeah.
Labs. I don't know how you reference it.
Okay, well, just before we talk about Topi Labs, I apologize. I was taking such a trip down memory lane. I didn't even say the name of my previous project,
Yeah.
Junkyard Dogs. So
Uh-huh.
I told you the sad story of me becoming a great trader, making some money from Bored Apes, but fading generational wealth. Well, the story isn't too sad because with that capital and with the connections I made in the alpha group chat, I was like, guys, this seems like the Bored Ape seems like the next, like this is it. We're in the meta,
Yeah.
and he's like, let's create a profile. Let's create a PFP collection. Let's innovate. Let's be the first animated
Uh-huh.
PFP collection. Because you see a wallet of static pictures. Let's be the first animated one. So we did just that with Junkyard Dogs.
Animated.
I
Nice.
Yeah, it's it's the we were pipped at the post. There was one project that launched like 2 days before us, so they get to be the very first, but we're like pioneers in the animated PFP field.
Awesome.
But
And that
yes,
sold out
it
in
was
8 minutes, no? That sold out really quickly. So
eight,
it
8 minutes. We
was
sold 8,000 dogs in 8 minutes, and yeah, that's really where what
how much volume
changed
do
the
you remember?
trajectory of my life.
How much was the mint price of each out of
Second,
curiosity?
it was 0.08,
Mm.
So it raised seven figures, and it was life changing. We
Mm.
had a lovely roadmap, and we completed on the roadmap. I think I'm one of those founders that is too stubborn to run. I was like the captain on the ship because the next few years were into a downturn. We developed into the metaverse. We have a sandbox partnership, multiple games
Mm.
developed there, extra collections created, gamification of stuff. We were the first project to use Chainlink VRF for a cross-chain uh, minting, like blind box minting mechanism, which was like a staking rewards as NFTs. It was like back in the 21 days, we were just wandering in the dark, trying to innovate,
Yeah.
trying to do cool stuff to see what people wanted because until then, nobody had seen any of this. Nobody knew what they
That must have been a
wanted.
really
It was just
interesting time to be a pioneer, right? Because you had so much freedom. And I feel like that's kind of replicating itself on Base. In the last year, there's so many new companies that are filling all the gaps that Base was missing just a year ago. And I feel like there's so much creative freedom now on Base to build whatever you want, and so much support from, the Base team themselves and from the communities and other builders, and such a good vibe that I feel like do you feel like it's similar to the 2021 era when you were trying to innovate with NFTs?
I'll be honest, I think it's very different.
Mm.
Because in 21 there was no concept from the creators or the buyers on like
Right.
how this tech was going to evolve. It was literally wandering in the dark. It's like, okay, this is the plan to sell, and we're going to do these 10 things over the course of a year. But as metas change, it's like, oh, do we deviate from our roadmap, or like looking left and right, like, okay, these guys are doing that. That's working. Should we pivot? And it was all very confusing time. There was no clear defined route to success.
Okay.
Whereas I
Yeah.
think, and also there was no base team. There was no central team that could provide support. Like Vitalik wasn't
Mm.
on in my DMs. But I feel now in the 2025 cycle, sorry, let me just say, Junkyard Dogs delivered on two roadmaps and then eventually CTO the project in 2024 when
Okay.
I I moved to become all like full time on base.
So Junkyard Dog is
To,
what you focused on from 2021 to 2024, basically, in that bear market. And
from 21 to, yeah, basically until it was really just a handful of community members who, like, diamond hands. And I so badly wanted to turn it around, but the market conditions were so rough. It was just like there was
Mm.
no interest in the metaverse. Meta's changed, and that was one of the things. Like,
Yeah.
when we decided to go all in on metaverse, Facebook just changed the name to Meta. Sandbox was
Yeah.
the hottest in town, and we're like, this is our revenue. This is how we're going to make this a success. And then as people started to be like umming and ahhing, but actually this metaverse isn't that good. It's just like
Mm.
not a very fun game. It
Here's
still
a
needs
problem
a
with a
few
lot
years
of
of development.
founders. Problem with a lot of founders is exactly that. A lot of them, they try to build these really long roadmaps, and they end up evolving so much just because the meta changes. And it's unfortunate, but I think that's why people have to learn to be quick. I just saw a Brian Armstrong interview the other day where he talks about how important they prioritize speed and communication channels in the base team, and I feel like that's important because trends pass really quickly. People are more and more, onto the next thing every single day. So as a founder and as an entrepreneur, you have to always have your ear on what's going on and be able to pivot as well, not be stubborn, right?
Absolutely, like survive. Like was it like adapt, like pivot, adapt, survive, or so there's a saying like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's survival of the fittest. And if you don't adapt to the environment, then you become obsolete. And I think that's one of the things that's really become um, apparent in this cycle. And this is why I really think that the 2025 cycle is so different from the 21. Is that we're not walking in the dark trying to find the way. Brands like Pudgy Penguins and Bored Ape, Azuki,
Hmm.
they've sort of targeted different niches, different avenues. I wouldn't even call it a niche, but Pudgy Penguins is the one that I am the biggest fan of, in the sense that they really thrived in the bear market, while other collections that were keeping
Hmm.
digital were sort of coming down. They were like, okay, look, we need mass exposure. We need to be on the social medias, the Web2 social medias, not just talking to the echo chamber within crypto Twitter. We need to get in front of everybody. So
Yeah.
how do they do that? With TikTok, Instagram. A big one is Giphy.
Gifts.
They have
Gifts.
over,
Yep.
yeah, the GIFs. They're everywhere. We type in any GIF, anything, and then like a couple of Pudgy Penguin GIFs will come up in the search bar. They
Yeah.
really dominated that. And then of course with the plushies and kid games, it's like, okay, you know what? People aren't just. It doesn't need to be so degen the vibe. It can also be family friendly. And in fact, family friendly is the way to go. And that was one of the inspirations for how we created the base Topies, which I'm proud
Yeah.
to be leading with my co-founder Bill the Bull, to really just create like some strong IP, strong family friendly IP here directly on base.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to jump into Base Turkey in a second, but Pudgy Penguins is definitely, a brand and a company I've done a lot of research on and see how they got that max exposure. And I used to see their gifts everywhere before I was even in crypto. And just the other day, I wanted to do, my tagline is "Stay Spicy." I typed in "Stay Spicy" to see what comes up, and it was a Pudgy Penguin hugging a chili pepper, which I thought was quite like a universal alignment or something like that. But yeah, I think a lot of brands got inspired by them, and I think they kind of set the standard in the way that crypto brands don't have to stay in crypto, and meme coins don't have to be purely memes and have no value themselves. They sort of created this thing where now in base, I'm seeing loads of meme coins launch. Maybe the coin doesn't have any utility, but they're building a fantastic brand around it, and that's what we want to do with Pepper, right? Our meme coin token is that it's purely a meme token, but we want to turn it into a global brand, and maybe we wouldn't have that vision if it wasn't for Pudgy Penguin. So yeah, the ability to be, I guess, a complete innovator nowadays is a bit harder, but to take the lessons that these companies gave us in 2021 and 2017 as well. But I feel like 2021 was a bit more relevant to what we're doing today. I feel like that was a big moment in crypto history, because now I've seen so many base brands building, and they have that meme coin sort of feeling. And when I tell a normie, do you want to be part of, a community of people who do real good work, they're professional, they're coders, or they're speakers or whatever, but you don't have that corporate pressure of, having to put on a facade, having to put on a mask. I feel like everyone in crypto can sort of be themselves, and that's what I love about the space. Anyways, I'm going on a bit of a tangent. Let's jump into Based. Topi, you are a co-founder, so let's jump into when exactly it launched, what role you play in it, and what sort of inspired it. I mean, we've already spoken about Project Penguins, but yeah, what motivated you to launch it?
Well, one of the things that to being in NFTs for so long, like when Base really last year, in fact, when there was the Base Summer, there was some new IPs. I mean, this is when Base Fellas came about. There was Thank You Base God, and there was a few other IPs that were unique, novel. But one thing that I saw was that at the time there was quite a bit of derivatives from larger collections, like not, I mean, like Base Punks and some others that are similar to IPs, existing IPs.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not against derivatives. I'm not saying that. I think there's two types of derivatives. One is just copy pasta, which I think is low effort and doesn't last very long because there's no innovation. But then there's the other type of derivative innovation, which builds on top of an existing IP, which I am supportive of. Brands such as No Punks, Dark Nouns, and a few.
I'd even say, for example, Barrio. They took the IP of the Mario character, but they're building completely their own.
They made it completely their own.
I would almost not even call it a derivative. That's how individual and how how do you say, innovative, or can't find the word.
I mean, projects that build on previous IP, it's standing on the shoulders of giants, and that's what a lot of us are doing with the previous like Pudgy Penguins. They've set out a roadmap that has captured the hearts of 1 billion people. Wow, amazing. That's one recipe for success, but that's their recipe for success. So with the Base Topies, I had the idea since last year, in fact. It took a long time to find the right people and find the right time to launch it. But the Topies are the indigenous tribe of Basetopia, a utopian vision for Base where builders support builders and communities come together. The Topi are the native builders to Base. So with Topi, I wanted to create a unique IP for Base. This was the initial idea. Fast forward a few months, Bill and I become friends. Late night on Base, we become friends. We start talking about NFTs. He knows me from my NFT past, and he's like, "We should do something together." I'm like, "I got just the thing." So we started to talk about Topi, bouncing ideas off each other, just building the idea, building the backstory, building this world before it was even on paper, before it was even drawn up. So for the artwork, the inspirations were things that I hadn't seen in crypto, hadn't seen in NFTs. I didn't want to do another something that borrows traits from a successful IP. I wanted to create new traits and just do family-friendly stuff. That was like the goal.
Yeah.
So for the work, the inspirations were Shy Guys from Mario.
I was going to say, I swear down, I was going to say that it's definitely some inspiration from that, because I played a lot of Mario Kart, and the first thing I saw when I saw the Topi is that mask in the front. Yeah, the Shy Guy mask.
That was, I was like I was looking online. I'm like, how has nobody done a Shy Guys inspired collection? So that was the first inspiration. Then the Kakamora from Moana, the Moana movies, and
Mm.
then Minions from Despicable Me, and I
I
think
always
the
thought they looked like
last
those
of
those things that give you nuts from Zelda. I always thought, have you played The Legend of Zelda, the Breath of the Wild?
yeah
There's these Kokoros or something
yeah.
like that that give you the like seeds that you collect. They look like those as well.
I mean it's kind of a inspired by a few cute, yeah, a little clumsy, a little mischievous characters, and that was the ingredients for the artwork, but also keeping it family friendly so that we can expand the brand beyond crypto. And then we launched this year in April, um, and it wasn't smooth sailing. It wasn't smooth sailing. This was another big difference from the 21 cycle.
Hmm.
You know, being accustomed to 8 minute sell thousands to having some issues in the very beginning. Like we had a little bit of complication with our whitelist. People who were on the whitelist weren't able to buy, and then we also, this is kind of what we say before about the importance of adapting for the climate. We thought going into it that we priced appropriately. We wanted to price it at a bit of a premium because uh, we have one thing that no other collection on Base has, which is a built-in media arm. Because Bill, my partner, and I, we host the Base NFT show. So we
Yeah.
host the number one NFT show on Base, and it's like we have this built-in media arm where we can occasionally, not too much, but occasionally bring up innovations with the Topies. So it's like, okay, so we wanted to put it at a bit of a premium price, but the market told us different. They're like, hey, too much. And we got it in the
Right.
feedback, we got it in the comments, and I think we sold a few hundred, and it was like, oof, we wanted to sell thousands, we wanted to sell 8,000, and it was a bit. It was Bill's first experience with NFTs, so he was very optimistic before the launch, and then a bit disheartened with the result. And this was a vastly different experience for me with NFTs. Also disappointed with the result. So we had to think quick and make the choice. It's like, okay, you know what? How do we keep the momentum going? The market's
Hmm.
telling us it's overpriced. The market's telling us there's too much supply.
Yeah.
So rather than just plant our feet in the mud, we're like, let's listen to the market. This is for the community anyway. So we slash the supply, we slash the price, and anybody who minted got an extra topi so that they weren't out of pocket.
Yeah, I was gonna say because
So
I saw the
eventually,
Toby collection is 2222, right? Because you said 8,000. That's what confused me. So you slashed the
yeah,
supply. That's interesting.
we slashed it and we slashed it again because when we launched, if you look at like the NFT sales on Base, we were sort of going like this, and then our launch happened. In fact, external factors are a funny thing. The day before our launch, Jesse, there was Jesse had quite a bit of public backlash because Base launched their first Zora coin, and degens from across the chains were like, Base launched their token, they aped in, and lots of them
Base is
lost
for
money.
everyone, right?
And I can't remember if
Base is
that
for
was the,
everyone.
I forget,
Yeah, the one with a blue circle around the everyone. Pretty
was
sure that
that was
was
that the
it.
ticker?
Yeah, but that was earlier this year, wasn't it? That wasn't. I thought you were saying
Because
October
I,
you
I know
launched.
I know Basis for everyone. There's one that launched just a few days ago, but I forget what the original one
No,
was.
that's Basis for
But
everything.
right,
It's
oh, okay,
different.
okay, yes, thanks. So because people on other chains hadn't come across Zora or understood what was being done, what this new movement of coining content was, Jesse was literally on the defensive. First of all, I want to say hats off to Jesse. He did an amazing job on these spaces, talking to thousands of people, explaining what the situation was, because everyone was looking for blood.
Mm,
People that lost thousands on from Solana degens who see the ticker, think basically launch their token, ape in blind, and then lose money. Like people were
yeah.
out for blood. So lots of people who were looking at NFTs, looking to come into Base, were like turned off from that experience, and it's like you know
I remember there was a lot
it
of hate
was
for Jesse for a good couple of weeks, and as you said, big props to him because now it's completely changed, and
big props.
it only lasted a couple of weeks, and his media management kind of reminds me of what was the massive hack that happened end of last year. I think Bybit, and the
Yeah,
night that the hack happened.
FTX.
No, I don't know. There was a big hack, and the night that it happened, the founder, the CEO, he got on a live stream and answered questions and gave updates and everything.
Mm.
And I feel like as a CEO, as a founder, you need to have that ability to speak to people and to be against the
Step
tide
up.
sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah, honestly, I was like really, I was really impressed because yes, there I can see how it was a bit of a wrong footing, and
yeah,
everyone makes mistakes. It's not maybe the messaging could have been a bit better, but in hindsight, we learn these things. But it would have been easy to just go away from the spotlight for a bit, just wait for it to blow over, and just let them hate online. But the fact he like stepped up to
yeah,
combat this, explain the rationale behind it, I think shows a lot of courage. And yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why it's actually one of the reasons why I think that the base community is so strong and supportive, because we have built an ethos, this push the limits sort of mentality, and it comes all the way from the top. Jesse's not one to back down from a challenge; he steps up to it. So it kind of inspires the rest of the
yeah.
community to do the same.
Yeah, and remember there being rumors about the base team dropping him and stuff like that, like firing him from whatever position he was holding. So to go from there to the perception people have of him now, as you said, big props, and I feel like that inspires people, and I feel like that's not happening on Solana. For example, I've been seeing Tolly uh, his tweets are on X, and they're so uninspiring. Like, why are you still on Solana? Like he said,
Communities are useless.
communities are
That
useless.
was
Now,
his tweet the other day.
pretty sure he was referencing X communities because that was the context. But also, he just said communities are useless, and there's a few other
Mm.
things that he said that I can't quite remember right now. That were like shocking coming from the owner of a meme coin chain, right? And he was saying these really shocking things. So I feel like it's just more and more fuel for people to come over to base.
I don't think people typically punch down. Solana obviously is like a mega chain. There's lots going for it, and there was so much hype in the meme coin cycle. But I also read a lot of people that lost money, like net losers. I lost more money than I made on Solana, and I was like,
Mm.
I'm done with
Yep.
this, done with the trenches. Like I'm focusing on the builders chain. I mean, for example, my BaseJunkie account, it's a year and a half old. Before that, my previous account was NFT sloth, NFT underscore sloth. If anybody wants to follow, I'm proud of the things I've done and learned along the way. But what the reason why I created a new brand, Ace Junkie, is to block out the noise, because I've made a lot of friends, a lot of big collections,
Sure.
founders on my previous account. I didn't want to just delete the account, but during those years, I started on Ethereum, then went to Solana, dabbled a bit on Sui, looked into Tron, just like I was, and like BNB, and then started to look into Base, which is when I decided, oh wow, Base actually
Yeah.
has, a really strong future. But right now, my timeline is a hodgepodge. It's noise. So I was like, okay, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to focus. I'm going to streamline my efforts. And I was actually talking to an influencer friend of mine who's a YouTuber for Pulse Chain. Shout out Money Gang Crypto. And we were talking about the importance of wearing a hat, because so many people want to be a jack of all trades. When you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. And if you're a man who wears many hats, you're actually wearing none. So pick the hat you want to wear, fine tune your skill, and just double down on it, and then really just push
Yeah,
that. And
I read
so
a
that's when I
book
that's
that
when I
was
went all in on base and was like, I want to support communities. I want to build. I want to build. I'm not going to gamble anymore on meme coins. I want to build a community, work with NFTs because that's what I love. That's how I think you can build communities, and I want to support others. And that was the rise of BaseJunkie.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I read a book with a similar message that was very inspiring for me, called The One Thing. It's quite a popular book, and yeah, it focuses on just finding the one thing that you desire. Because also, you can pick something that might make you money, but if you're not passionate about it or it doesn't make you happy or fulfilled, then you won't put your 100% energy into it. But yeah, not spreading yourself thin and finding that one thing and focus on it. And I love the concept of the wearing many hats. So you got a hat on right now. But yeah, 100%. I mean, I was like you. I was trading on a bunch of different chains, and there's just so much going on in the world and in crypto that if you don't focus on your niche, on your product, then you're going to end up, comparing yourself to the rest of the world, and at the end, comparisons to Steve Joy, right? So you've got to focus on what you're building, in your niche, and just go full at it. But I wanted to jump back into the base topies. So I was looking into them, and something I found really interesting. So you can record their lore. So you can write, their backstory, what they do, and yeah, just the general backstory, and record it on chain, so anyone can go see it on chain. So if I go on Basecamp and go look at your one, I would be able to see all the lore in the right in the NFT. So what was your reason for this? What inspired you to make this one of the main aspects of the NFTs?
Good question. So when we were talking before about the inspiration for the artwork and that stuff, yes, we took reference from some successful brands, and we are standing on the shoulders of giants there. But you also said something earlier about how it's difficult to innovate, but we are innovators, so we're all in it to try. So try and find the next evolution and the next value add for holders. So regarding the bringing stories to life. So we believe that every person who has a profile picture of an NFT resonates somewhat with that NFT, but
Hmm.
often they are just a static image, a JPEG in a wallet. But how can we bring those characters to life? And we believe that to be through the power of storytelling. So our motto is monetize your imagination. So right now we're starting the concept with the Topies because we're creating a lore book where people can write stories about their characters, give it some lore, give it some character, and bring it more to life. It's something that we want to expand and offer the tech to other NFT collections as we move forward. But yeah, really, it's about building an IP brand and letting people really monetize their own imagination and monetize their IP.
In what
Build
way
off
does
the
it
references.
monetize? Because I know there's a leaderboard where
Mm.
the more likes you get and the more views you get on your story, the higher you climb on the leaderboard. But what do you mean? Like, how do people monetize that directly?
So two ways at the moment, and we are constantly evolving to make sure that we are following, not just following, but like pushing forward with the latest trends. But one, through Zora, you can create IP stuff with Zora. We want to support you. Anybody who's creating Topi content, we want to support you on Zora. That's an existing platform. But then also one of the recent pivots, one of the recent evolutions in the brand is that we've seen the success of micropayments. Gary Vee said it at a new day one. Like we are now in the tipping economy. So
Gary Vee was there.
rather than Gary Vee was there, yeah, he was on a
Okay,
panel talking to Jesse, but
awesome.
he's historically been um, early to future trends, and I think he's right on the money here. So he said it nicely, but yeah, the tipping like we're now in the tipping economy. So the model we had when we first started with Monetize Your Imagination was a leaderboard, XP, and then we would give some payments to, some high ranking ones. Like we would do some competitions, like story writing stuff, and we would pay that. But that's that worked 4 months ago, 3 months ago even. But now with this evolution in micropayments and tipping, it's like okay, this is the future. So we're now going to be we're now working with our developers to incorporate a tipping function. So right now,
Right.
our latest, um, you know, seeing where the trend is, where it's going, we're now really leaning into the mini apps with tipping functions so that people can get paid for when they contribute to the Topi ecosystem, and then we can start the flywheel like that.
Talking about Zora and the tipping economy, I never understood the value in it completely, right? I couldn't conceptualize in my head exactly what was the purpose of it, why is this important. And about a month ago is when I actually fully understood it. And it's when I was talking to my mother. She's an artist, she paints, and she has this collection of tarot cards. So she gets the tarot. My dad, who studied them a long time, kind of helps her inspire, put a lot of subliminal stuff in them and make these really cool tarot paintings, right? And she never found a way to monetize them. Never. Like she couldn't like sell them to a collection, stuff like that, right? Because maybe they weren't right on that level, or she didn't have the connections for that in the real world. But then I realized, and this is something I want to do soon, maybe after Onchain Summit, which is something else I want to talk about. After Onchain Summit, I want to, set her up with a Zora profile, and she can upload her paintings on there, for example. And when I had that idea is when it clicked in my head, people can monetize their creativity and what they do on their day to day. Where
Mm.
usually in the real world, it's very hard to find an outlet for that creativity. So that's when I fully understood sort of what it meant, what Zora's purpose was.
So I mean, with Zora, when it first came out, I was like, nah, like I wasn't interested. I even messaged Jesse. I DM'd him and I was like, hey man, this isn't it. Like it felt like it was a constant dilution
Yeah,
of everything. NFTs. This is my community. This is what I'm building with, and this is the direction we're going together. Whereas coining tweets, I felt like it was a lot
it felt
of
like a
noise being
redesign of
presented.
a redesign of Pump Fund kind of thing, right? Where it's like, yeah, a lot more like people can create coins super easy, and as you said, it
I
dilutes
just
it.
I just didn't I just didn't see that the massive benefit to the overall to the creator, because the split is 5% of like you get 5% of a token that's not like a specifically high value token. So like yeah, like 5% of $100 in trading volume. Like I remember my first video I put on there, I actually made like a little skit. I got like 7 cents in creator earnings. I'm like, man, what is this? But where the shift happened for me with Zora is that I don't worry too much about that side of things anymore, like how much I would earn in creator earnings. I actually just find it really fun to support others. So
Mm.
like if I just buy like 50 cents of this token, that picture, creator coins, I'm backing my friends, a couple bucks to support them all because I want to
Makes you
root for
feel
your
good.
success. Yeah, it makes you feel good. So I'm not heavy into Zora. That video that I made that had like 7 cents. I forgot about Zora for like 2 months. I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. I came back to it like not long ago, and I had like $40. I was like, whoa. Okay,
Nice.
that's pretty cool. But question there about your mom and her artwork, because the for me, if it's like proper art, I think there's other avenues that could be um, that could give the creator more, like a bigger slice of the pie. My suggestion, and obviously it's just a suggestion, my two
Yeah.
cents, maybe make some photos of of your mum creating the art, some behind the scenes stuff, some like extra footage that would be good for Zora, because I think Zora is a good marketing platform because you get lots of visibility. It's very prominently supported by the core base team. I think if your mum is selling her artwork as NFTs, whether they're backed by a physical print or a small run of each picture, I think there's other more profitable ways to sell these art pieces, because there are people that would just buy it. They might just buy it for like $50 or $100 or whatever the
Yeah.
the value is. 1,000. I mean, it's art. But I think Zora, rather than just put the final piece on there, use it as
Yeah.
like a marketing medium to help bring your mom on chain, because at the end of the day, they want Base and the Coinbase wallet to be as easy a way for people to get on chain, so easy that your nan could use.
I mean, it's interesting because I did some research into it, and you can confirm or deny. I was looking at the IP rights regarding uploading on Zora, and according to the research I did, if I post pictures of handmade paintings, because handmade paintings, you automatically have the IP for them. You don't have to trademark them or put them through a process, whatever. They're automatically your
It's
IP.
interesting.
So uploading to Zora, from the research I've done, it doesn't seem to give give away the IP. It gives people the right to use the picture, but it
Hmm.
doesn't make you lose IP rights. That's why I was thinking of uploading just the pictures of the tarot collection, one a day or something. But it would be quite interesting to have the behind the scenes, and something I really like even more than the coining each post, something that really turned me. Now, I'm not a user of Zora much, but something that made me see the real value in it is creator coins. That's where I was like, okay, you've nailed it on the head there. Because
Same.
now my mum doesn't only have to, I'm using my mum as an example at this point. She doesn't have to just upload the tarot collection. She could be uploading her other paintings, and over time, whenever she paints something new, post it. And it doesn't have to be individual pictures or collections. It can be just her whole journey as an artist, and you can invest into that and to what you think other people will think about that journey. So I think Creator Coins is what sold it to me completely, and something I want to set her up with once I've got some time back from Onchain Summit.
Yeah, I think creator coins were also a light bulb for me. Like, it made Zora make more sense, because maybe I don't want to back a particular post, or like, I don't want to buy every single little bit of content, but I believe in the person, I believe in the creator, I
Yeah.
want to support them. I think that's a more zoomed out long term view for supporting all the creators.
Yeah, I see myself completely investing in Creator Coins. I don't see myself personally buying art, but it's not something I've yet doubled in much. So maybe, some people have gotten addicted to just going in there and tipping people and buying little pieces of art. So
I
who
I think Jesse.
knows?
I think Jesse is. I see him. I
Oh
see
yeah.
him whenever I come to Zora. It's like, Jesse bought this. Jesse bought that. Jesse bought
He's
this. I'm
gotta
like,
have a bot, man. He's
the
gotta have a
guy.
bot buying everything. Or he's just a super active based guy. I don't know. He might have a bot buying everything though, doesn't he? But I
He
wanted
must
to
have some sort of time hack.
we've been running for almost an hour, so I don't want to extend it too much. I did want to jump into On-Chain Summit and
Yes.
kind of what you are bringing to it. Like, are you going there just for the vibes, to hang out with people and just to talk about your brand? Are you preparing something special? What are you excited about? Just tell me about it.
Okay. Well, first of all, this will be the first time I go to a crypto event across the pond. Um, so I've been doing these community spaces for a year and a half, just supporting others and just do a lot of like pro bono stuff. Recently, I had a conversation with Zen about creating content and all that stuff, and I put forward to him like, hey, I would love to get to Onchain Summit, but being a pro bono content creator doesn't really bring home like big cross Atlantic funds.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can figure something out? And he said, why don't you come on as a media partner? So um, I was amazed with the opportunity. So I'm actually going to be doing some man on the mic interviews. So if you are
Oh,
going to Onchain Summit, come over to my booth. I'm going to have a little area where I'll be doing these interviews. I'll have the camera set up. We'll have the mics, and just do like quick 2 minute short form content interviews with founders, attendees, and the base team. So that's my contribution to the event from the
awesome.
a media point of view, but also you may have seen that this past week I've been teasing stuff about spaces. Like there has to be a better way.
Yes.
There has to be a better way. So
Yep. I mean, coming
really,
from a space host
like,
myself, I completely understand that. I've not had many spaces rug just because I'm very concentrated, making sure I've got
fortunate.
connection and everything. Fortunate as well, yes. But I have been in a bunch of
Yeah.
spaces at Rug and loads of issues. Speakers they can't come up, or they're up and I can't hear them, or I can hear the whole panel and they can't hear me, or the other way around. So there's lots of issues. So I definitely see the spot in the market for what you're building. So if you want to jump into it,
So
just a little bit.
I will also be having a demo table because I believe that Twitter Spaces is our archaic. It's content created on the X platform, and creators don't receive any benefits from that. So, with a very talented dev team, we've been creating a new app to be a mini app directly on the base app, with a goal to reward creators like tip hosts, tip speakers, and then we're actually introducing first of its kind. Hosts will be able to Hosts will be able to opt in or opt out of receiving a little ad banner at the bottom of the spaces. So at the bottom of the screen, there'll be if they want to opt in, they'll be able to receive ads. If they choose to receive ads, the ad fees will be split between the platform, half to the platform and half to the creators, the speakers, and this will be the first of its kind that the audience, everybody who's tuned in, will also receive their share of the half of the revenues from all the ads at the bottom.
I want to reach through the camera and give you a kiss, man. I love the idea of the ads. I mean, something I hadn't thought about, and I think is awesome as well. On one of your posts, you ask for what features you think are missing, and I read the comments, and people have lots of really good ideas, and I see you interacting with a few of
Lots
them.
of good ideas.
Seeing people come together, and because it's such a pain for everyone, so you can get these personal
Yeah,
experiences and learn from these people. So like adding these features, also it being community involved, and people be able to tell you, oh, we'd like this feature, and have it happen. It's something you usually can't do with these big corporations like X.
this is the wonderful thing about building in 2025, and this is the wonderful thing about the base community. Build in public. This is advice for everybody, every creator who wants to make a mini app or any sort of application, any value add to the ecosystem. Build in public. Because if you're building in public and you're on the wrong path, the community will correct you quickly. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can start to veer towards the optimal product. Because at the moment, the base app is still in beta. There's only like a couple thousand people on there, but there's hundreds of thousands of people in the base ecosystem, millions really. I'm just thinking about like the Twitter, millions, and we're targeting a billion. So right now, it's the best time to focus test. It's the best time to get feedback from others, and then for
Yeah.
this space hub, which we actually have. It was great to see that we were on the right path on some of the points because we saw that a lot in the comments. But then also the base community is goated. They had some other great suggestions. where
Like
it's
tipping
like
the speakers, for example.
we're building. Well, that was something that we already
Right.
that was going to be our big play. But then there were some other features. For example, when the host rugs to go to the co-host, that makes so much sense. I've the amount
So
of
yeah.
times it's happened, just being rugged on X, just that the host has a bad connection. It's annoying, it's tedious, especially when you're in like a real conversation. So finding ways to make the best possible experience for the community, that's our goal, and make sure that hosts, speakers, creators, and listeners all get a slice of the pie. I think really that's how we differentiate ourselves in a strong way from X and make the app the number one Spaces app to use on the base app.
So it will be exclusively on the base app, right?
We're going to right now. This is what we're doing in the beta. We want to, because obviously the base app is still in its infancy
Yeah.
to grow. We don't want to limit people to the distribution that exists on X and other platforms. So one of the obstacles, one of the challenges and things that we're working on is how to cross stream it so that it still has visibility on X, because that's where everyone has larger followings. The majority of people have larger followings on X. And then also find ways to, down the line, it might not be ready in the V1, but down the line have it available on YouTube, Twitch, Kick.
Oh yeah. So
Distribution
add
is
endpoints
the
basically.
goal.
So add
Exactly. So
endpoints, and then you can be
it'll
streaming
start
loads of platforms.
exactly. It'll start on the base app, and that's where tipping will be possible for the creators and speakers, and then everybody who's there can benefit in any of the proceeds. I won't go too much into the details of the ads and things that people can put at the bottom, but we want to decentralize it as much as possible, so that it's it's something that really benefits every person who tunes in and every person who speaks, and really just push with this tipping economy directly on the base app.
And what are you going to call it? Do you want to keep that on the down low for now?
Well, seeing as this episode airs next Wednesday, I think I'm going to leak the name before then. So the name for the app will be Fireside.
Fireside.
Join the Fireside. Join our
Fireside. Well, like
Fireside chat.
fireside. Interesting.
Yeah,
It's got a nice ring
get
to
get
it. Fires.
get warm around the fireside. Join the conversation
Yes.
here directly on the base app.
Yeah, it makes it more like personal. Spaces kind of sounds general, like space, because words have a big impact into how people perceive products and the branding and the name of it itself. And fireside sort of gives it that warm feeling of you're camping with your friends and you're having these campfire conversations and stuff. So it's interesting. I like it. I like
Exactly.
it.
I mean, the goal of it is to reward content creators and every participant in that medium of content creation. The reason why we're creating it, the reason why I said like we need to build this, is that there's problems with X spaces. Content like users and creators don't get rewarded. There has to be a better way with better emojis, better functionalities. There has to be a better way, and the tech is possible. But then also the second reason why this is important to me is that with the content rewarding side of applications like Zora rewards visual. There's a few programs. I know Talent Protocol just released one where creators have a creator score, and then Nibel with GM Tribe has another way for creators to earn. Like there's different ways, different avenues for creators to earn now, but there isn't really one for spaces. And for myself, I'm predominantly the content I create for Base is mainly video form or audio form, and currently there's no way to monetize audio form beyond the occasional sponsor. So making it possible and accessible for everyone to participate, who creates content in the audio way, they can come to Fireside and get rewarded.
Also, well, I've got one last question for you before we close the show. Just a little bit of controversy regarding the shows. So you've got a big range of shows. So how many shows do you have, and which one is your favorite? Which one do you get like more excited about? Like maybe it's the more chill one, or maybe it's the one where you actually have really lengthy, smart conversations with people. So how many shows do you have? Lay them out so people also know where to find you and what shows you do. And then also, what is your favorite one? Which one do you get more excited to produce?
Okay, so my 3 hard-coded shows at the moment are Monday night, 8 p.m. UTC. It's a live stream on the Build on Base account. That is the Base NFT show hosted by myself and Buildable. On Tuesdays, I do our Topi Tuesdays, where we talk about the innovations that we're doing with the project. It's a community spaces. Come vibe with the tribe at 8:30 p.m. UTC over on the @BaseTopi account. And then on Wednesday, on the Build on Base account, hosted by myself and Spudnik, we host the Base Breakfast Show at 11 a.m. UTC. And then beyond that, my personal shows. Right now we're on summer holidays, so I'm sort of rejigging that a little bit. Sometimes I work with these guys to do like a creator show, bring on a guest, highlight, spotlight. So those are currently a little bit more fluid. So at least 3 a week, usually 4, sometimes 5.
I know you do LFB as well. Is that still going on? Because I saw one episode of that.
No, so Rachel and I, we stopped doing the LFB show. Just our schedules just got so busy. Like shout out to
Okay.
Rachel, she's doing so much with
Yeah.
Onchain Media. You're just crushing it. So proud of
Yeah, I
her.
had a call
And
with her just a week and a half ago and something, and asking about what they're building and all the stuff, all the shows they're preparing, and the stuff they're preparing for Onchain Summit. And yeah, big props. Yeah.
she really a wonderful human being. So I very much have all the time in the world for Rachel. Yeah, we need to do more shows together. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Anyways, what's your
about
favorite show?
schedules. Favorite show? Oh, it's right hand, left hand. I'm I love man, such a politician answer, but I love them all. I love them all. But if I had to pick one child, cast the other aside. I would say I really enjoy the base NFT show. NFTs are my passion. Building communities is my passion. I'm so inspired by so inspired by the guests on the Base Breakfast show and the Base NFT show. They really enrich my mind. I feel like the NFT show, it's great to see what other people are doing and help support others because a rising tide raises all ships. So we want to really uplift the rest of the base ecosystem, the NFT side, because I believe NFTs to be the best way to create long-standing communities. And then on the Base Breakfast show, people working in different fields of crypto, it's so eye-opening to me. We had a project called Ex Machina. They came on and were talking about a DAO for physical robots. And then last week we had Mint Club come on, a project in South Korea, who basically
Project 7, right?
they did Zora before Zora. Like they created the creator coin, the parent token, and then the sub tokens behind under it. And it's like, wow, these really smart people working in different areas of crypto that I don't really have the time to hone my energy on. They are just like opening my eyes. Like wow, there's such great builders on the chain. So I love the support we give on the Base
Yeah.
Breakfast show because we can reach more projects. And I love the builder spotlights we do on the Base NFT show. And then of course Topi Tuesdays, Vibe with the Tribe. That's my baby project. So it's always good to hang with the homies there.
So you can say the reason you do these talk shows, obviously on top of the whole, you're able to promote and earn from it. The reason you enjoy doing them so much, you could say, is the sort of having the perspective of how many other builders are building stuff and seeing like these projects. And instead of having to read their website, you get to hear it from the founder. directly, and seeing so many other people building stuff, you could say, inspires you to carry on building and push harder because you know you're not by yourself. You know, it's a sort of collective movement.
100%. It's if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So
Yeah.
I get the privilege of being in these rooms with smart people in different fields, and they can share what they're doing. I can ask questions, and the fact that I have any sort of platform to help, ask these questions and showcase them, and they come on and share with me cool stuff, cool ideas, and share with everybody what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it's a life hack. I'm learning about so
Yeah.
many projects and I get to ask the questions directly to the founders.
Exactly.
I really do
It's the
supporting all the
same for
communities.
me. I think that's one of the reasons I also love, hosting these space and jumping from place to place. As I mentioned, I'm quite a young person, so I've still got a lot to learn when it comes to the world of business or the world of crypto and a bit of everything, right? And I get to for example, start a podcast and bring people on like you and learn how you became what you became and learn from your experiences and take stuff from that. So I think it's beautiful because Base is a place where community and founders are all put together, where usually it's, founders, shareholders, employees, and then the employees are the ones that are talking to the community, right? Because of support agents and stuff like that. So that's why I love crypto and specifically Base, because I can go and DM, the owner of Base, and there's a chance he responds, and I'm able to have a conversation. And yeah, the amount of communication between founders and users is something we've never seen before in any other industry, at least from what I've seen.
100%. I mean, the fact that Coinbase is a Fortune 500 company and
Yeah.
Jesse often replies to DMs, it's like, whoa, the accessibility and support from the base team, especially with the global the regional leads across the world.
Yeah.
I mean, Zen has been leading that up, and he's done a tremendous job in placing highly skilled people who are supportive in different countries. I actually recently finished a series interviewing all of the base regional leads, and I capped it off with a headline of Zen a week ago. Time is funny, but it was really just inspiring to hear the stories of all of the base regional leads, what their vision is for the year, and how they're supporting people on across the continents, and that accessibility to core members in a large institution just hasn't been seen before. So yeah, I'm very inspired by the boots on the ground approach from the
Yeah.
base team.
Do they happen to have a base lead in Spain?
I do look at those. There's a base lead in the UK, Clemens. He's UK and Western Europe. So I know right now they're looking for ambassadors, base ambassadors. Um, so that's not an official employment. It's more like if you are supportive
Tag.
and you're in Western Europe, there are grants and stuff available for that. But it's like if you
It's
want
a
to
tag,
help
yeah.
base grow there. So I mean, I've spoken to Clemens about the possibilities in Portugal. So yeah, I definitely recommend hitting him up if that's something you're interested in to do for Spain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what exactly it entails, but I'm always up for anything that'll help me grow. But listen, we've been recording for an hour and 20. It's been a fantastic episode. Thank you for coming up and sharing your stories and experiences and your perspective on the space. So yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for hosting. I've enjoyed the questions. I've enjoyed the conversation. I can't believe an hour and 20 minutes has gone by. I was thinking we keep it under an hour, but hey, I mean that's a good sign of a good conversation. I
Yeah.
want to wish you the best with the series. Only episode 2, so uh, thank you for the invite. Wish you the best, and I'll see you on other spaces, and then the fireside to coming to a base app near you very soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you and everyone at home. Stay spicy.
Best.